Hey everyone, happy Thursday. Hope you had a great day. Saw the snow melt a little bit more today. And just to get something off my chest, this is a brace right here. No, it's not for my sledding that I did yesterday, although that probably didn't help. I've got a bad case of tennis elbow, and tennis elbow is no fun. I can't lift anything real heavy, I can't work out. And so, anyways, I just wanted to let you know about what's happening here. I'm going to be off for tomorrow. I'm going to be off for the weekend, but I'm going to be back at work on Monday, which could be right in the heart and the thick of this winter weather that could be approaching our area. So I want to kind of give you some ideas on what we know as of now, which is not ice accumulations. We don't know how much is going to fall. We don't know the timing of all this, but I do know this, that if you're traveling on I-49 southbound, you're about to hit a traffic backup. In fact, check this out. This is from iDrive Arkansas. This is mile marker 45. This is just north of the Bobby Hopper Tunnel. What you're seeing on the screen are cars that are going nowhere. And just to let you know, there is a pretty bad accident. In fact, we have reports that it was a fatal accident. So that means people were involved, multiple vehicle accident. This started to become backed up shortly before 7 o'clock. So about 6:40 was when the traffic accident was reported. And I did have some information that came out that said that there's a backup that happened basically right around, yeah, it was probably right around 6:30, 6:45. So yeah, Josh Ruger must have thrown a snowball. Maybe it was me throwing all the snowballs. Honestly, this has been hurting for like a month and a half. So I finally, after when I wake up in the morning and I can't extend my arm, I'm like, I got to get this checked out. Just make sure it's not a clot or something like that. But just to let you know, yeah. So let me show you what we've got here with I-49. This is the traffic backup. This is the camera. Obviously, you can see it not as well focused, but here's the information about the accident. It's a multiple vehicle accident. It's mile marker 43.4. That's about 6.8 miles south of West Fork. Don't know any information about the accident otherwise, other than that it appears to be fatal. Multiple vehicles were involved. Here's Devil's Den Road, as you can see. There's Winslow, so you know kind of exactly where it is. In the Bobby Hopper Tunnel, what's wild is you look, there's very few cars that are driving southbound. I actually see one or two, but that's about it. So definitely some issues on I-49. Just be aware of that. Be careful. And of course, we'll continue to keep you updated on that. So we do have some winter weather potential. And we don't know all the details yet, but the pattern is looking very favorable for the potential for a wintry mix. Now, I want to kind of highlight why this isn't going to be a snow event, unlike what happened with the last couple of days, the system that moved in. So here is a look at the jet stream on Monday. And so what we're looking at is what's called a very large positively tilted trough. So positively tilted troughs, essentially what they do is they have jet stream energy that is delayed or kind of holds back. And so let me put a little pause point on there so you can see, and I'll highlight kind of everything that's on the screen. So first of all, the main ingredient for this Arctic air mass is a big high pressure system that's going to be dropping south. This is a look at the jet stream. So that shallow cold air comes into the Ozarks. We did not have the shallow cold air with this last system. In fact, temperatures were, fairly mild at the surface, relatively speaking, in the lower to middle 30s, just above freezing. And you can see the jet stream is going to be kind of what we call a positively tilted trough. So you can see the way that this is sloped. If you were a man that was walking, a man or a woman, or your person that was walking left or right, you would be walking uphill. Uphill exerts more energy, and therefore it takes more energy for this thing to move. That's kind of a basic way to think of it. So what this is going to do is spin off several of these systems that move through, which will be impossible to tell exactly when they're going to occur at this point. We do know mid-level warm air is also going to be moving in, and I'll give you an example why this system favors more sleet and freezing rain and snow rather than just all snow. So we got that mid-level warming as the jet stream moves in, the shallow cold air coming in from the north, that is a recipe for ice, or at least ice in some locations. Whether it remains in Northwest Arkansas remains to be seen. But here is a look at the future track. So we do have a system coming in over the weekend. Just want to let you know this is not going to impact us in a major way, but it brings a little bit of light rain on Saturday evening and Sunday morning. And then you can see by Sunday late morning, that system starts to move out. There's not going to be any winter weather associated with this as of now. Now, the one thing that's kind of like a little bit of an outlier is how cold the air gets. Will the air be cold enough and deep enough to form sleet instead of freezing rain? I sure hope so, because sleet is way better than ice. Ice is, I know you might be thinking, well, sleet is ice balls. Yes, but sleet is bounces off of power lines. And speaking of that, Mike says, Dan, I live on Swepco Lake on the east side, and we maybe got 2 inches of snow. I'm dealing with tennis elbow myself. Haven't played golf for a couple months. That's no fun. Tennis elbow stinks. I hate ice, Paul says. Please, no ice. I know. Nobody likes ice. We kind of had a pseudo ice storm, even though it wasn't ice at all. It's just that snow was so wet and so heavy, which, by the way, if you shoveled it, you know that. It was not easy to remove. It weighed down the trees. And because it clumped together, it was so wet, it was a perfect packing snow. So it was almost an ideal packing snow that compacted, formed on tree branches, weighed those down, brought down power lines. We'll take a look at the latest power outages. But going back to this graphic here, there's going to be multiple waves of precipitation. Now, at the moment, I think Monday evening and into Tuesday looks to be one round. And we got another round that comes in Tuesday, late morning into the afternoon. Now, you'll notice this is saying a little bit more snow. And that could be because that cold air is deeper. And then look, another system comes in on Groundhog Day into February 3rd. And then that system finally moves out. So we do have some cold weather that's ahead. Tonight, we're looking at temperatures in the mid to upper 20s to lower 30s. Not any more than that, because we have essentially the breeze that's going to keep up. Let's take a look at what the GFS has. Now, remember that cold air is plowing in, but it doesn't really happen until Sunday. So Saturday, we've got some rain coming, and that's why we bumped up those rain chances. Now, there's that Arctic front moving in on Saturday night into Sunday morning. Then you could see it Sunday afternoon. It moves out, so it's mainly a morning rain. Then you could see that precipitation coming in. It is trending colder, but I'm going to say take this with a grain of salt as of this point, because a lot of times that warm air advection is a little bit too much, and it ends up being more ice rather than sleet and snow. Again, it could trend that way. We're watching it. Maybe the ice is in central Arkansas. We're going to get a fine tuning of that as we get closer. But there's a look at the system that comes in February 1st. Again, more ice and snow. So we know that there are 2 waves of energy that are coming in, one at the beginning of the week, one in the middle of the week, and perhaps a third one at the end of the week. And it's all because of that overrunning precipitation. And so if we take a look at how this setup is going to occur, and we show this quite often, but I'll look at the Arctic air. So Arctic air is totally different, because what happens is it impacts when it hits the Ozarks slow this down. So check this out, as we'll see on the Arctic air, how Ozarks basically stall shallow cold air. So there it is moving in. We've got the cold air that's expected, could trend colder. That Arctic air remains very low to the ground. So when it comes in, guess what? It hits the terrain of the Ozarks. And the Ozarks divert, or basically stall out, that cold air from seeping in. Now, this is key, because if the cold air arrives before this system, such as Sunday into Monday, and really pours in, and we get the system Monday night into Tuesday, then we have a couple of days where the cold air has arrived first. But if the system arrives and the cold air arrives at about the same time, that does not favor icing for Fayetteville and for Washington County. However, southwest Missouri and northern northwest Arkansas, such as Benton County, you guys didn't get as much snow. You may be getting the potential for some ice. So the Canadian has a significant sleet event for Arkansas. Now, sleet is still nasty because you could be slipping and sliding. But Kevin, I take that with a grain of salt because this warm air advection could be stronger, especially at 850. If there's anything I've learned over time for icing events is that the warm air advection is underestimated. Look at what happened with the snow in northwest Arkansas, especially Benton County. Really wasn't underestimated on the snow, but the snow took a long time to change over. Precipitation wasn't quite as heavy in Benton County, which prevented it from changing over faster. Let me show you precipitation types. So this is going to be key because this is why we're going to get different types of winter precipitation with this event compared to what we saw with this last one. So if we check out the winter precipitation types, this is what we've got. So we had rain because we had warm air, but then with the snow, we had a lot of cold air aloft. Now, what we're going to see with this next system is we got that warm layer of air because of that southwesterly flow aloft. And for several days, we're going to see that southwesterly flow. So instead of it just being an all snow event, as we can see here, with cold all the way up from the surface up. And by the way, with this last one, we had just a little warm air at the surface. So the snowflakes fell, they melted, but they didn't melt completely. And then eventually that cold air caused this all to cool and looked at that. Next, we have the sleet potential. See if that cold air is deeper and it comes in stronger and it's not as shallow, then you have more of a sleet. But in their sweet spot, you're going to have that cold air that's shallow enough where the snowflake falls, it melts, turns into rain, but then that elevated surface is chilled, and that chilled elevated surface is going to lead to freezing on contact. That's freezing rain. That's where it accumulates on power lines and fence posts and all that stuff. And then you just have a cold rain where temperatures are above freezing, which will be probably for South Arkansas. And so still too early to talk about that. If we want to put this into perspective, here is another example. Okay, this is a winter precipitation types. And we have, looking to the west, here comes this shallow wedge of cold air, just like what we're going to kind of see with this system next week. High pressure rolls in, by the way, on Sunday. So the temperature is going to be dropping on Sunday. And then we get that warm layer of air above freezing. We didn't have that with this last one. So we're going to get those snowflakes above our heads. They warm in that warm layer of air, and then it freezes on contact. So you've got precipitation that falls as rain, falls as freezing rain, falls as sleet, and then falls as snow. So essentially, now you can see why. And I am going to try to change this graphic too. I don't know why those arrows are upwards. They shouldn't be. So let me see if I can alter this while I'm talking to you guys. I'll do some editing on this. And it doesn't want to. Let's see. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here and we're going to go to rotation. Here. Texture motion. 9. Okay, now we got it there. Now we need to flip it around. I think because it has a bunch of lines on there. Man, that's going to be a pain in the buttskers. Forget that. I'm going to do that later. Yeah, we're not going to do that now. That's not going to happen. All right. So anyways, rain is moving from the ground. I know. Exactly. I'm trying to fix that. It's not supposed to be that way. One more look here at that wedge of cold air that comes in. There you can see it. There's a lot of weirdness going on. So another look at winter precipitation types. One more graphic for you. Here's a look at the cold air that's coming in. And that's exactly why we're going to see all those different kinds. So freezing rain means slick, and sleet is also slick as well. So just be aware of that. So black ice, I hope that wasn't the cause of this accident, but you got to be careful on the interstates because, there's a lot of water that was melting from the snow, and then that was running down on the roads. So anyways, there's a lot that has to be determined with this system. We do know the ensembles are favoring colder weather. We know that for a fact. The pattern is very favorable for the potential for icing. Is it too early to say exactly what kind of icing and accumulations and amounts what we're going to get? Yes. Is it too early to say that this is going to be like the 2009 ice storm? I love how everybody immediately goes to the worst case scenario, which I get it because we just had a winter storm. But the ice storm was so rare, by the way, just to let you know. Here is a look at the systems and precipitation. And so what you're going to see is this system diving in from the northwest. There's all the precipitation that's associated with it. Now watch what happens here. I'm going to have to remove these. There you go. So what you're going to see is this big ridging on the west coast. And what that does is that allows this cold air to plow south. Now this is the winter system that could be coming our way. As you can see it impacting the Pacific Northwest. That doesn't go out far enough. So let me go out on a different one here. Here's another one. And I'm going to have to remove those pause points on there. So let me do that real fast. So what you're going to see is this basically ridge in the Eastern Pacific. And what this does is, by the way, the system that we're expecting is coming from Alaska. I don't know if you can see that or not. But as that drops to the south, slow moving, positively tilted trough, several pieces of energy that there is no way the models will be able to pick this up. There's one that's just west of Baja. That moves in, causes precipitation. There's another wave of energy. There's more waves of energy. The system finally swings through, as you can see, not until February 2nd, 3rd. So slow moving, positively tilted trough, huge low on the west coast. This, by the way, is going to cause icing potential, especially when you get that southwesterly flow aloft. Just all dependent on how strong that cold air is. Okay, so I think that kind of sums it up. And in case you are not going to watch the 7-day forecast, I will show you this. Like I said, I'm not even going to go over totals at this point. I'm not going to go over timing because it's still a little too early, but this is what we do know. We know that Saturday night to Sunday, we got a system coming in. We know that the front moving in is pretty stout. It's going to drop the temperatures, so we're flipping those highs and lows. On Sunday, it's mainly in the morning for that little bit of rain. I don't think it's going to be a wintry mix. Monday in the evening, that's when we see that potential for winter weather. May start off as a little bit of rain and freezing rain and then change over to sleet for some. There's going to be, once again, another difficult forecast where all sorts of precipitation types are for the area. I've about had it with winter. Winter mix on Wednesday and Thursday. Notice the temperatures. We're generous right now. I don't think it's going to be 37, but I don't want to go too cold in case the cold air doesn't really come through as much. And it's a sweet spot. Like, how cold do you go before you're going too cold? So can't go too crazy 6-7 days out. But we do have 40 and 30%, and I do think winter weather is going to be possible. So I hope that helps you out and sums it up. And James says, what kind of drone were you using? It had a good picture quality. So the drone that I was using was, in fact, a Mavic is the Air 2S. So DJI Mavic Air 2S, which is a really good drone for sure. At least we get to enjoy 50-degree and sunny weather tomorrow. There's always a silver lining. Yep, Saturday will be good, but I will say this. It's going to come with a little bit of a wind. So if you're in the shade, it's not going to feel like 50 degrees, but the snow will melt because of that. Okay, guys, I think that about covers it. You have a great rest of your Thursday. Have a wonderful Friday, and the weekend will be quiet. If this is looking like an impending ice storm, I may do a Facebook Live over the weekend. It just depends. This has been a long week, so I may not. But I do want to look at one more view of I-49. Is it moving yet? Okay, we have movement. Traffic finally moving along, so that is good news. So they got the accident cleared up. People are moving along, so there's no more problem with the roads. So that's good, unless they change the camera. But this is what it looks like right here. Also, too, something fun that I want to let you know about on Fox 24. You got to watch the news tonight because number one, I'm going to be having a special guest do weather, and number two, I asked for random years in tweets. And so people have sent it in a lot. The reason I'm doing that, and I doubt Mike is watching this, but Mike Allen is like a baseball fanatic and knows every World Series you could possibly imagine. So I'm going to test him. I'm going to name some dates. This is going to be in my second weather. I'm going to name some dates and he's just going to ramble off who won the World Series and information about it. And I promise you, you will be amazed at his knowledge. So go ahead and check it out. It's going to be on Fox 24 News at 9 o'clock. And then also, I got a special guest doing weather as well. So there's a reason for that. No, don't have Brian doing a bucket report. Maybe one of these days, but he's not. I can tell you he's not the special guest. Okay, guys, have a great one. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning in. And God bless. Have a great rest of your weekend. And we'll see you next week for more winter weather, part 6 at this point. See ya.